to remind people that Fidelity is partnered with Tom Ferry, and weekly we're getting coaching calls from him. And we're learning so much about AI that is way bigger than just taking listing descriptions for social media posts. Like it's so deep. So I just want to know if anyone wants to, they probably would really like a class on that. But if anyone wants to do a one-on-one meeting on how to build business by using AI, and there's just so much that we could go over. So if you're interested in doing that, reach out to me for a one-on-one appointment, or one of our other sales executives at Fidelity would love to help you. And they're all on the call. You just can't see them. So just another little spin, but take that, Walt.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And I'd like to just, take a quick second and thank Tracy for hosting the class. I've always enjoyed doing classes with Tracy, and over the years, and I always enjoy working with Fidelity. I'll tell you, just on a personal testament on my side, Fidelity is the #1 title company that I love closing at. I know whenever I have a transaction with Fidelity that we're not going to have any issues. And unfortunately, there are a couple title companies in town, and really there's only 4, but there's a couple of them that I do get really nervous about when I see that we have an escrow there. Fidelity's never one of those. So, crap. You guys have, like, Kelly Miller, that I think invented escrow. She's been in it for so long. And Teresa, I love Teresa. She's been in the business longer than I have, and that's saying a lot. And again, a lot of the people that you have. So take my hat off to Fidelity, and you guys are always so helpful. So classes, I see that, and I'm sorry, I see that the chat is able on my side, so maybe it's disabled on your side. And I apologize. For whatever reason, I can never seem to get the chat to work right on your side. So yeah, can you turn up your volume? Okay, so all right. Yeah, your volume was a little low for some reason.
If you have questions or comments, just put it in the Q&A section.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. All right. So the class today is what can Monopoly teach us about real estate? So this is going to be a little more of an interactive class, guys. So please use the questions and answers chat feature. What I'd like to know from you guys is, what can Monopoly teach us about real estate? What do you guys think? Please share your thoughts.
So everyone's going to be quiet, but I have an anonymous attendee with some comments, and I don't know who that is. So you need to go in and change your setting to add your name.
Yeah,
I can't give a CE to an anonymous attendee.
Yeah, I think that, let me look here I think that's just in the chat. They're being bashful. They don't want to say who they are. And that's
Gotcha.
okay. And so, but yeah, the participants, you can see everybody's name, Tracy. So,
okay, good.
Yeah, so, anonymous, how to lose gracefully, could be. Yeah, and Ashley, we know that the chat's disabled, so please just use the question and answers. Sorry about that. Tiffany Lovett, the power of buying, selling, and holding. Yep. Buy utilities and stocks, Marianne. How to lose gracefully. And I would say, do not pass, go. Do not collect $100. We don't close. We don't make money. That's a great one. And how to negotiate. It's very, very powerful. And staying out of jail. So, so there's a lot of things. Now the history of Monopoly Let me just go through that a little bit with you, and I don't know if you guys know it. There was a gal, and I forget her name. It was like early 1900s. She created Monopoly, and it was actually, it's not, she didn't create the complete Monopoly game. She created something similar, and she called it the landlord's game. I mean, that's really it. It's the landlord's game. And then Parker Brothers, another person, kind of blew it up a little bit different. And then Parker Brothers purchased it during the Great Depression. They were originally going to call it Life, but there was another game that was coming out called Life. And so, because it was a game about life, and that's what I love about Monopoly. I mean, in my office, I've got up in my, in my office here, where my desk sits and stuff, on the other side of where you can't see, I have my conference room table right there, and up on the wall, I've got 4 big posters of Monopoly, and it says, "Set goals and go, take the risk or lose the chance, keep pushing," and that was a little railroad, and then I forget what the last one says there, but I've just always loved Monopoly, and for whatever reason, and so really the game of Monopoly, it's you go around go, you collect your money, so you work in life, right? And then you start to buy properties, and you buy 1 property, and then you buy 2 properties, and you're going to get taxed from time to time, and and hopefully we all stay out of jail. And so, but some of us go to jail, and so, but hopefully we're able to stay out of jail, and maybe we're just visiting. But you go around the game, go around, and then when you buy your properties, you then follow Rich Dad Poor Dad. You buy your group of properties, and then you start to put houses on them, and then after you put 4 houses on them, then you put a hotel on them, and then go from there. And so, I mean, that really is really is the game of Monopoly in a nutshell. And we can learn a lot from that game. And you can see my whole screen, right, Tracy? Yeah, okay. So we can learn a lot from the game as we go forward. Now, one thing that I want to start to do is, before I start to walk through a lot of my philosophies on Monopoly and how to buy properties and all of that, I want to share real briefly with you really a threat that we have coming. And this is a threat. I have a tendency to look at markets a little bit differently, I think, than most. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not, uber conservative. I'm not uber liberal. I'm not any of those. I just have a tendency to look at things a little bit differently. And I see a threat that's coming that not a lot of people are really talking about, and it will affect, I don't know that realtors understand how much this will affect you guys. And so I want to share this with you guys. And you can say, you know what, Walt, you're full of bunk and whatever, and that's okay. This is just what I believe. And so the incoming threat, Tracy, if you just want to put your questions in the questions and answers, that'd be great. So the incoming threat is current servicers. And so with current servicers, everyone has this issue, and we're all working towards it. And then Tracy, if you could answer Tiffany's question, that'd be great. So as we look at, the news over the last month has been Rocket Mortgage purchasing Redfin. And if you're with Redfin, I have nothing against Redfin. I think Redfin's a great company. But here's the risk. Rocket Mortgage purchased Redfin. Redfin is a tech company. They're incredible at tech. Very, very good at tech. So Rocket purchased Redfin, and then shortly thereafter, Rocket purchased Mr. Cooper, the #1 mortgage servicer in the US. So before that, they already had 6% of the market, roughly. which is a pretty decent amount of the market. And so, again, we've got Rocket Mortgage purchasing Redfin. So Housewire, they came out and they said Rocket Companies is buying Mr. Cooper after they had already said they were purchasing Redfin, America's largest mortgage servicer, in a market-shattering deal that could reshape the mortgage industry for years to come. And I think this will reshape a lot of real estate for years to come if we look at this, and maybe I'm looking at it incorrectly. With this acquisition, Rocket will have a combined servicing book of $2.1 trillion spread across nearly 10 million clients. That's 1 out of every 6 mortgages in America. That means that's 17% of the market Rocket just purchased. Rocket also has arguably the strongest recapture rate game in the industry, and a deal like this would give it a distinct advantage over all other competitors. Now, this is mortgage, right? But get ready. So this was this was Freedom Mortgage. And so like Mr. Cooper, Freedom Mortgage, they service a lot of mortgages. And they say we've taken the opportunity to exercise our access to the capital markets and raise a lot of money to buy customers. Buy customers in a bulk, in bulk or in flow. Rocket had said that they wanted to retaining clients for the next transaction at rates 3 times higher than the industry average, positioning ourselves as their lender for life and generating recurring cash flow without additional acquisition cost. This is massive, guys. Because once the transaction's been done, Rocket's saying, hey, we're going to keep that client. And as we go forward from there, there's a couple things. Again, I'm building my case right now, so don't shoot the messenger, please. As of June 30th, Mr. Cooper had become the largest U.S. primary servicer. In the second quarter of 2024, the company's refinance recapture rate stood at 72.5%, which is unheard of in our industry. Normally, it's around 20% for a servicer, positioning Mr. Cooper to add tens of billions in origination volume when rates fall below 6%. Now, that's my industry at that point. Doesn't affect you guys at all. However, they're retaining clients at an unheard of amount. I mean, 72.5%, massive amount. Now, I'm going to say that these slides here that I'm showing you were part of a group that I was involved in as we were studying this. And this group was mortgage professionals. So there were about, I think, 1,000, 2,000 mortgage professionals on this call. And we were polled, and the question was how would you describe your current use of AI or automation in your mortgage business? And these are current mortgage professionals. I'm going to tell you that most of the mortgage professionals in the business still today are the ones that look at this as a profession. And so we're down, in 2021, I think it was, we had close to 500,000 loan originators in the US, and we're down to like 86,000 right now. So really we're down 75%. Sorry, sneeze here. So out of those 86,000, out of the 2,000 that attended the call, 24% said they are regularly using AI. 42% said, I've tested a few tools, but not using anything consistently. 32% said, wow, I could really use some help out with the AI stuff. So this is important because if you guys aren't using AI, please reach out to Tracy. Tom Ferry's teaching some incredible AI stuff. And then 2%, not interested at this time. I would say those are probably the 2% that are probably retiring out of the industry. Now, why is this important? Because the numbers that we're seeing are staggering to me. In the Zillow Consumer Insights report from 2024, 8% of clients will work with a realtor that they previously worked with in the past. That's in 2024. That's a sad number, 8%. This is down from 23% in 2018. So in 2018, 23% of clients surveyed said that they would work with their previous realtor. But yet in 2024, only 8% said that they would work with their previous realtor. That means 92% of your clients' database will be transacting a deal with another realtor. Who maintains that information, guys? That could end up being Rocket Mortgage. Remember, they're going to be 17% of the overall market. So it's important, just like the lenders are not, a bunch of them are not using AI. It's important for you guys to understand AI and start using AI as well. Now, Stratmore Group in 2022 study said 86% of clients that just transacted a real estate transaction 1 year ago would work with their previous lender or realtor, and this was a lender or realtor survey. However, 74% could not remember their name 1 year later. So again, in 2018, 23% would work with their realtor. In 2022, this is 4 years later, only 14% would work with their realtor. And 8% now would work with their realtor in 2024, according to Zillow. So what's going on there? And I think what it is not that realtors are doing a bad job in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that. And that's not my, and I don't think that lenders are doing a bad job either. But what I think is that right here, this is the big thing this is the bigger thing is where to go. Is that Freedom Mortgage and other servicers, Mr. Cooper, were buying customers, and then they figured out the right things to do to then keep those current clients, keep them at a rate of 72% or higher. And I think that we all need to do a better job at really adding value, truly adding value to our client databases. So I think that going forward, we need to work together very intently, very, very intently, because the big guys are doing this. If we want to maintain our clients, because if Rocket Mortgage gets your client, then your client probably won't come back to you. And because they're going to maintain that client, they understand that it costs 5 times more to purchase a new client than it does to maintain a current client. And so they're looking at ways to be able to add value to their client database when they're sending the bills every month. And they have that, that luxury of being in front of their client every month, in sending the bills to them every month to get the mortgage payment. So I think there's 3 must-haves, and this was from that course. 3 must-haves or you're toast. 1 is you need a system in place that proactively identifies who may benefit from a new mortgage, even if they, the borrower, may not know it yet. Automated technology working on a daily basis to increase lead generation. Cannot rely on your own memory or emotion. You've got to use technology for this. Has to be something automated. Happens every time. That's what the big guys are doing. Redfin is the tech increasing Rocket Mortgage's opportunity. So, and cutting edge AI integration. So again, I mean, you look at Redfin, they've got an incredible tech platform, incredible. And I'm going to tell you that um, you look at the sleeping giant, which I call the sleeping giant, and that is Zillow. Think back, guys, to the CEO of Zillow. What industry did he previously, or what company did he previously start before going to Zillow? That was Expedia. What did Expedia do to travel agents? Obliterated them. Absolutely obliterated them. The travel agents that pivoted and ended up working with companies excelled. The travel agents that did not, and the travel agents that specialized in maybe specialized trips or something like that, they excelled. But the ones where you would walk in and get your, plane ticket to go wherever, everybody goes to Expedia now and those type of companies. And so they obliterated the travel agency industry. Now, what board does the CEO of Zillow sit on? It's very, very important that you know. One of the biggest tech companies ever, Netflix. So he sits on the board of Netflix. Think of how quickly Netflix during COVID pivoted. Just think of that. So, and Zillow, we know, they're doing some funky things right now. And so now I share all this with you, not to be, beating the bandwagon and saying, oh, we're all in trouble. No, not at all. I think there's tremendous opportunity, guys. I think this gives us massive, massive opportunity. The reality is that there's going to be people that will want to work with a Rocket Mortgage, and that's okay. That's okay. They're not going to give the specialized education that I will. And so, but with that, that's totally okay. On the realtor side, if you're connected with a Rocket Mortgage and with Redfin, I think you're going to get those leads, because Rocket's going to maintain them. And so I think that, and I don't know if the answer is, and I'm not saying this for other companies to be angry with me. I don't know if the answer is you join Redfin and you get the leads. I don't know. But what I think a bigger opportunity is that the reality is that 10% of your database, 10% of anybody's database on any given year is going to do a transaction this year. 10%. Now, a good friend and mentor of mine said years ago, he said that the person with the most friends wins. I never really understood that. I mean, honestly, I'm not a person that has a ton of friends. I have tons of acquaintances. I really don't have a lot of friends, at least close friends. And so I don't know how you are, but so I've always kind of thought about that. I'm like, what he was really saying was the person with the most value to the most people wins. And that's really the case. That really is the case. And when you add AI into it, it's important that your lender. I'm going to tell you, we've got tremendous AI capabilities. I get a report every morning of clients that, and it's going to be kind of freaky, but I'll share it with you guys. Of course, if you're a client of mine and you get your credit pulled with another mortgage company, I get an alert immediately. So, and I know that Rocket and other companies get alerts immediately. And so, so that's one thing. So if you get your credit pulled, your client, boom, I get an alert immediately. So I'm able to reach out to that client. Number two, I get alerts if your debt has increased and if you've got more equity in your property. So I get an alert that I can reach out to the client. And so that just shows maybe a HELOC is in order or something like that. I get alerts if your credit score is increased. And so I get alerts that your pattern of that your pattern of searches on the internet could lead to a mortgage in the next 90 days. So, and that's AI. It is watching, and again, kind of freaky stuff here. So, so at that point, I know that I need to engage with the client, and just out of the blue, if I haven't been engaging with that client over a previous amount of time, but I need to engage with that client and be top of mind with that client, which then who benefits from all of that? The realtor that referred me the transaction, because then I then update that realtor. So I get an alert if you've paid off a bunch of debt. Again, that could show that you're getting ready to buy something. You're getting ready to buy another house or something. So there's a ton of different alerts that I get, and they're all AI related, and that's really where most mortgage companies have gone to. Now the thing is what do you as a lender do with those alerts? That's where I bring the realtor involved. And most lenders get those alerts, guys. So if your lender is not reaching out to you and saying, hey, I got an alert about this, you might want to ask them about it. Ask them why they're not reaching out to you, why they're not using their alerts. Because there's 3 must-haves as we're going forward, guys, as far as I'm concerned. So, and that's it. Now, whenever I look at a mortgage transaction, and let me actually pause here for a quick second. Let me see. Tracy, have you been answering the? I can't hear you, Tracy. It sounds like you're mumbling. You might need to change your microphone or something, or get closer to it. It's okay. I don't see any questions.
There's nothing new on that.
You sound like you're talking behind a wall. It's okay. We'll just cruise forward here. So we'll open up at the very end to any questions and answers. So one thing that I always look at with a mortgage are really 3 factors. And those 3 factors are safety, liquidity, and rate of return. So there's 4 steps I go through with a client, and I'm looking at, whether they're looking at it or not, I'm looking at 4 steps. The first one is that after the transaction, I'm hoping, or I'm going to teach a client how to have at least 3 months worth of reserves in their account after the transaction's done. I want to get the client there as quickly as possible, at least 3 months worth of reserves. Number 2 is I want to help our clients be debt free. And that's minus any credit card debt, minus any auto loan debt or mortgage debt. So that's education debt, that's credit card debt, that's personal loan debt, all of that. I'm okay with auto debt because autos are so expensive anymore that most of the time you're going to have a loan to buy one. And 2, of course, mortgage debt, I'm okay with. I think mortgage debt is good debt. So number 3, whenever we work with a client, we're looking at creating an account that has significant liquidity. And significant liquidity, to me, is termed as being able to have enough money in your account to where you can physically write a check and pay your mortgage off. Typically takes around 20, 21, 22 years. From there, the 4th step is now you're debt-free, completely debt-free. What do? Do you pay that mortgage off? Or do we look at really compounding effects of money? And we're going to look at compounding effects of money here at the very end. So my question to you is, and I'm going to ask you guys to please put this in the questions and answers. Define safe house buying. Is it safe when you're following the 3-step process, which is safety, liquidity, and rate of return? Is it safe to put all the equity in your new house purchase? So you sell a house, that's typical conventional wisdom. You sell a house, you take all that equity, and you put it into your new purchase. Is that safe? Is it safe to put extra money towards your house payment to get your house paid off? Is that safe? And is it safe to have a house paid off? Is that safe? So I'd like to know what your guys' response are to those three questions. Is it safe to put all your equity into your new house purchase? Is it safe to put extra money towards your house payment to get your house paid off? And is it safe to have your house paid off? So, yes, it's safe. Shannon, yes, it's safe. Okay. And I don't know, Marianne, 2012, 27 to 12. I'm not sure what that is. Could be the winning lottery ticket numbers. I don't know. So we touched right on our own. Is it smart? Okay. So number one, Deb, no, it's not safe to put all your equity down on a new purchase. Yes, it's safe to put equity towards or money towards your payment. And yes, it's safe to get your house paid off. Okay, these are questions I have, so curious to see results. Seems like it would be safer. Yes, safe, but it's better to have some debt. Okay. So let me post some questions on this. And I'm going to tell you that there is no right answer. There just is not. And I'm going to tell you that the answers are going to be different depending upon your spending style. So if I've got a client that can't save money, like I give them $100 today, and in a year from now or 10 years from now, I cannot come back to them and get that $100 back, then I'm going to treat them differently. And those clients, if they can't save money, I want them to put all the equity from their previous house down onto their new house. I want to trap their money in that house. I want them to put every extra dollar that they have into the mortgage every single month because they have not proven that they can keep a savings account. They can't keep money in a savings account. So I want them to trap it in their house. And I want them to get their house paid off as quickly as possible. That's somebody that can't save money. And there are people that can't save money, and that's okay. It's not a problem. I teach a money matters class to students, and I'm teaching it to my clients, and that we had our first money matters class last week. And on the third class, we talk about money mindset. I'm sorry, our second class, we talk about money mindset. And so the things that we learn when we're a child, early in life. And that's going to dictate whether you're going to be a spender or a saver a lot of times. Now, if you are a saver, I give you $100, and in a year from now, you're going to feel bad that you kept the $100. So you're going to give me the $100 back and an extra $10. At that point, I do not want you to trap any money into the house. And I'm using the word trap. It is because it is a trap. I want you to put as little money down on the new purchase, and that's where going forward we're going to be. We're looking at savers. Anybody that's a saver, this plan will be perfect for. So is it safe to put extra money towards the house purchase if you're a saver? No. It is absolutely not safe. Most people believe that it's safe, but it's not. And if you're a saver, is it safe to have your house paid off? No. So the answer is no for all of these if you're a saver, yes to all of these if you're not a saver, if you're a spender. Because let me just run it through a couple scenarios here. If you purchased a house in 2007 and you put all your money into the new house in 2007. So you put, you had $150,000 worth of equity, you purchased a new house, boom, and you end up buying that. Well, no, let's use a real world situation. I purchased a house in 2008. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It was going to be a rental. It was going to be our house for a couple of years. And we were moving back from Maryland. My wife just said, hey, buy me a house. She didn't really care where it was. And because we knew we were only going to be there a couple of years. We're actually there 7. And so, but you know, we were just going to be there. And so we purchased a house. We ended up purchasing it. We put 20% down to keep our mortgage payment low. And I wanted a low mortgage payment is really what I wanted. I could kind of see what was happening in 08, 9, and 10. And so I wanted a really low mortgage payment. Purchased it for $208. At one point, it was worth $152,000. So if I had to leave in 2008, 2009, I got another job in, you know, New Orleans. At that point, is it safe to put all my equity into the new purchase? Absolutely not. Because at that point, my equity is gone. If I have to sell, it's gone. It's trapped in the equity, it's gone. Is it safe to put extra money towards the purchase or towards your house payment to get your house paid off? Again, if I need that equity, I can't get to it. And any money that you put towards a house purchase, any money that you put towards a house purchase does not have a rate of return. So in fact, it's zero. The house goes up in value, but your money has no rate of return. It's not liquid. It's not safe if we have market fluctuations and the value goes down. And it's not liquid. So it's not safe, it's not liquid, and it has no rate of return. Again, the money in your house does not go up in value or go down in value. Your appreciation goes up or down in value. If I put $10 down towards my house, you know, it's $10 less. So, so with that, what I'd like to propose, and this is the quickest way to be able to build significant wealth. It takes time, of course, but ultimately, can you hold on for one quick second here?
I'm sorry.
All right, guys, sorry about that. So what I want to propose, and I ran this scenario, and I was completely blown away by the wealth that this can create. And so let's run through this real quick. So you purchase your first house at $350,000. Most homeowners are spending time in their house for about 7 to 10 years. So I showed this at 10 years. Now we're looking at first-time home buyers. It used to be 31 years old that you were a first-time home buyer. Then it bumped to 33 years old. Now it's 38. So it's going to be somewhere in that 31 to 38 range, according to NAR. So your first home purchase, you purchase at 350, you keep it for 10 years. After 10 years, that house is going to be worth 570,000. You're going to pay the loan balance down to 281,000. And you're going to have a total net worth of $288,000. So now after 10 years, you then you sell that house and you purchase your second home. And I'll tell you what you're going to do with that $288,000. But ultimately, with the remainder of that $288,000, you purchase your second home. Now you sell your first home. Don't keep it as a rental. If you keep it as a rental, that's something different, and those numbers are going to be a little bit different. But ultimately, you purchase your second home. I'm just following traditional wisdom. You buy a house, so you keep it for 10 years, you sell it. You buy your second house. Now your second house is going to be a little bit bigger, of course, a little bit nicer. So at that point, because your previous house was worth 570, now you're buying a house that's worth 670. It's about $100,000 more. And you keep that for 10 years. After 10 years, that house is going to be worth $1,091,000. Your loan balance will be $539,000. After everything, after loan pay down, everything else over that 10-year period, you're going to have a net worth. You're going to have roughly $1.117 million at that point. Now, you purchase your house on the third year. The third year, and I'm going to walk through all these numbers at the very end and show them all side by side with you. So the third year, you purchase a house at $1.25 million. I'm sorry, your third house. Keep that for 10 years. House value at the end of that period is $2 million. And I'll show you how much you have left at the end. Fourth house, you buy a house, you keep going up in houses, right? That's the theory, keep going up in houses. You decide that you're gonna move to, and I forget where it's at in the nation. I want to say Kansas, but I forget where. You buy the home alone house and you get a really good deal on it because it's only 2.2 million. I think I saw it was like sold for like 5 million or something like that. So that's your fourth house purchase. Typically your fourth house purchase is where you have, the kids and the grandkids. And so a lot of people are buying even a bigger house after they've purchased a house that they're going through and they're raising their family in. At the end of 10 years, that house is worth 3.5 million. And again, your net worth grows. This is the key. Your final house purchase, which is your fifth house purchase, you go back down, you right size, you go back down to a $2.2 million house. You put $1.3 million towards it. Instead of, you're always doing 5% down for all the previous purchases. This is a following monopoly. Putting 5% down, you're buying up as many houses as you can. So, but it's your final house purchase. This one, you're going to put more down. You're putting 1.3 million down. You have a loan amount of 500,000. But you have no mortgage payment. You do a reverse mortgage at this point. You have no mortgage payment. So you have an option to pay a mortgage payment or not, which is now used as a tax concept, as really a tax situation. If you don't make a mortgage payment for several years in a reverse mortgage, well, that mortgage payment is then taken out of the equity of the house. But now all of a sudden, you can make one big payment if you want and pay that interest down if you wanted to, or pay that principal down. And so you can really use it as a tax situation with the interest and everything on the reverse mortgage. Now, if you don't believe that your $350,000 house purchase here over 50 years, you'll end up purchasing a $2.2 million house or a 2.2 million much smaller house. Watch this with me. So this is my childhood home. This is the house that I grew up in, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath house that my parents had built way out in the sticks in South Salem. It was way out in the sticks. I have pictures of nothing around us. Literally, there were only 2 homes built. The one that you can see kind of to the right of this picture, that house, and then the house that my parents had built in the subdivision. In fact, I'm pretty sure Larry Epping built these houses. So if you remember Larry Epping. So my parents had this house built in 1971, and some of you know this story. And they paid $18,500 for it. So here's where I grew up. I grew up on Newtown. Here's Liberty. Here's Skyline. Here's Kubler. So you've got Judson Middle School right here. And I went to Liberty Elementary School right here. So I went to Liberty, Judson, and Sprague, graduated from Sprague. But that's where I grew up at. Now the area, there's tons around that area. And there's tons way out even further south. But now what was interesting was 20 years later, I purchased this truck. And it wasn't this exact truck. It was one like identical to this. I purchased it from Don Lulay in 1991 when I graduated from high school. And it wasn't even a full 20 years later. I purchased this truck for basically $10,000 and it was used. It was a 1987 truck. I purchased it in 91. And so this house was worth $10,000. And I remember my dad and I talking, and my dad said, how much are you buying your truck for? And I told him it was $10,000. And he was like, how much? He couldn't wrap his head around 20 years later that I'm paying half the price that he paid for this house 20 years earlier. So it's 20 years. Now we go forward from there, 54 years later, we remodeled this house. I remodeled this house, purchased it for my mom. My dad passed away in 2009. Purchased it for my mom, remodeled it. This is an old Zillow picture, I think. So, because the grass was much better than anyway. Sold it for $377,000. 20 times what my parents paid for it. So that means that a $350,000 house today could end up being worth, in 50 years from now, $7 million. Crazy, right? Of course, at that time, I mean, you look at 1971, how much was my mom wasn't working. I think she was working at that time, but when I came along, she wasn't working. I came along a couple of years later. And so, but my dad was working, and I mean, how much did he make? I don't know how much my dad made. We never talked about finances in the house. I never, up until the time that he had to retire in 81 due to medical reasons, I never knew how much money he made. So, so from here, I want to show you the actual numbers here as we walk through. So first house purchase is $370. After 10 years, the home's appreciated to $570. You then sell that house, put 5% down on the new house. So you purchase a $670 house, $33,500 you're putting down, minimum amount down 5%. Keep it for 10 years. You take that $288,000 that you had from this purchase and the loan pay down, you invest that money. Now you're investing that money for 30 years. So $288,000. Now remember the compound effects of money. That basically states every 7 to 10 years, depending upon the interest rate. That's why they call it the Rule 72. I just dumbed it down for my own personal reasons. Every 7 to 10 years, depending upon interest rates, your money will double. So for 30 years, so this money is going to double at least 3 times, if not more, at an 8% rate. So funds in the account over 30 years, you end up having $3 million in an account. So it doubles, and then that money doubles, and then that money doubles. So third house purchase, 1.25 million, 62,000 down. You end up having the net proceeds from your second house purchase of 565. You're investing that for 20 years. Again, that money doubles, and then that money doubles. So it goes from 500 to $1 million, goes from $1 million to $2 million. So, and then you've got extras in there for 20 years. And so, because there's the 65,000. So at the end of 20 years, you're going to have 2.785 million. I tested these numbers out yesterday. Fourth house purchase, you take from the sale of your third house, you're going to have 919,000. Invest that for 10 years. You're going to end up putting $110,000 down. This is, a $2.2 million house. So you go from 1.25 to 2.2 million. You then invest the funds over 10 years. You're going to have $2 million in the account. And then your last purchase, which you're right sizing, you're going down to a smaller house. You put 1.3 million down, do a reverse mortgage, so you have no mortgage payment. And you have net proceeds from the sale of 1.8 million. And at that point, you have an extra 400,000 or 500,000 to do with 468,000 to do with whatever you wish. Now, here's where the numbers get very interesting. With all of this, over a 30-year period of investing, 40-year purchasing homes, so you have $8.4 million in an account. Your return on investment at an 8% return over 12 months, if you're investing at an 8% return, and for those of you that are doubters on the 8% return, know that the S&P has returned more than 8% for the last 30 years. And there's other accounts that have returned more than 8%. Some have returned as much as 12 and 15%. So you would team up with a financial planner who's actually managing your money. And with that, you end up with, just on a yearly basis, $432,000. Can you live off of $432,000 in 40, 50 years from now? Of course you can, but you also have no mortgage payment. So, and who knows what happens with Social Security at that time and everything else. But ultimately, that's really it. Now, this money grows, and you live another 10 years past that. Well, then now you're up to 17 million that you have in your account. And think of what your family can do with $17 million. So anyway, and that's 432,000 if you're just taking the interest off of it. You can actually take more than your interest off of your money as well and live. So whatever you want to do. This is the way that Monopoly's taught me to be able to invest in real estate, purchase homes. You put the least amount of money down. It's contrary to the way that most people think. You don't keep your money in your house all the time. You keep the minimum amount of money in your house. And the reality is that those that had, we learned in 2008, those that had the most equity in their homes lost. Those that had the most loans on their home won. The lenders wanted to work with those that had the most loans on the home. And so, and the same thing happened during the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, you could sign a mortgage, and that mortgage would, there was a clause, and this is where the philosophy of paying your house off came, is that in 1929, if you were to go into the bank and get a mortgage to purchase a house, you would go in and think of It's a Wonderful Life at this point, as I'm sharing the story, because It's a Wonderful Life actually showed this. So you go into the banker and you say, hey, I want to buy a house. And they say, great, here's how much money down. Here's the mortgage, sign the mortgage. The banker would then say, oh, here's a clause in the mortgage that we can foreclose upon you for any reason that we need to, but of course we wouldn't do that because we make money off of you making the interest. So at that point, you would sign your mortgage and you go along your merry way. Great Depression hits, you lose your job. There's a run on the banks, which is exactly what happened during It's a Wonderful Life. There's a run on the banks. And so you go in and get your money out. Well, then you have to realize that the money in the bank isn't in the bank. It's in everybody's mortgages. That's how banks make money. And so it causes a lot of problems. Now, when the run on the banks happened, then the bankers had to start calling and saying, hey, Walt, I know that I said I would never call your loan due and payable, and we can foreclose upon you for any reason that we deem reasonable, but there's a run on the banks and I have to make money up right away. And so I'm going to have to call your note due and payable now. And at that point I would say, well, I don't have my job, so sorry, and then they have to foreclose and they take the house back. Now, bankers are going to take the house back that has the most equity, not the ones that have the highest loan, because values have already dropped. So therefore, when you follow that philosophy, always look at safety, rate of return, and liquidity. So hope this made sense. Is there any other questions that I did not? Yeah, I'll share my slides, Angie. I lost sounds. I had to rejoin. Okay. So yeah,
I'll have sound issues. Can you hear me now? I don't know.
it still sounds like you're a million miles away.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
I'll
know.
work on that somehow.
Well, and it happened when you were talking at the very beginning. It kind of, it was like you kind of stepped back or something. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
it's all good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't care if you were done, but thank you all. I think that was very informative. And I know that in my life in real estate, that's the easiest way to make money is buying and selling properties.
No. And it's just, what do you do with the difference? I mean,
Mhm.
you know, the thing is that, again, it's been common knowledge for us that, you know, you put all your money down in your next house. But the problem is that if you ever need that money, then a lot of times you can't get to it.
Right.
Because if you need the money, most of the time you probably lost your job or something like that, where you need the money right away. You know, even if you had a brilliant investor with you and they came to you and said, hey, if you had like, you know, $100,000 today, I could make $5 million for you by tomorrow. And you know, you had 100% confidence in them. You can't tap into that money that fast either. And so the only way to do that is through a refinance or a home equity line of credit, which all take time to get to. And then of course you have to show that you have the ability to repay. But if you need the money and you've lost your job, you have no ability to repay. So it's always safer. Again, it's contrary to the way that we've been taught, but it really is safer to keep your money in a separate side account, in an investment account. So any extra payments that you would make or anything like that, put into an extra account. That money's going to grow faster and over time. It's going to compound over time. Again, with the caveat, and you know who you are. You know, everybody knows who, you know, in some situations, I'm a great saver in some situations. When it comes to a car, I'm a really shitty saver. I'm a spender when it comes to a car. I freaking am stupid. I buy a new car every couple of years. The joke between my friends used to be, oh, did your car need first it was, did your car need new tires? And then it got to the point of, did your car need an oil change? So I'm not as bad now, but you know, so it depends upon the situation. I'm either a saver or a spender. And I think for most of us, that's how it is. But if you're a saver, this is an excellent philosophy in the way that you're going to generate massive, massive wealth. And it's a way that you can really add value to your clients, because I'm going to tell you that Rocket Mortgage will not teach us to their clients. They just won't take the time. So it's the way that you can differentiate yourself, you know, and from the Rockets, from the Zillows, from those companies, and really stand out and build massive, massive, you know, I don't know, brain cells, or whatever you want to call it, confidence with clients. So.
Thank you, Walt. For a minute, we should be going out there shortly.
So sorry, I can't hear anything you're saying. Thanks, guys. And please send your next transaction to Tracy and Fidelity. They are most awesome. If there's anything that you need from either one of us, we're here for you. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.